This is a general walkthrough of the CF 1040 2024 Michigan City Income Tax Return. As you can see, the form was reformatted this year and it's also fillable. So let's go ahead and get started here. You'd want to start at the very top, checking which box applies to you, resident, non-resident, part year. So resident if you live in the city limits, non-resident if you live outside the city but work in the city. Part year is if you lived in the city part of the year. So you'd want to start out by filling in your social security number. Taxpayer would be also considered the primary. The taxpayer's name as it appears on their license. And of course, filing status, single, married, married filing separately. If you're also have a spouse and you're filing with them, you would put that information there. Current home address would be here. And of course, read all this information. I'm not necessarily going to go through it all. If it applies to you, and the itemized deductions and such. And then you'd want to go down to the exemption schedule. So fill out your birth date. You get one exemption for you, another one if you're 65 or over, and another if you're blind. Spouse here as well. And this does not calculate over here. You'll go down to 1D and add up the boxes and put them there. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. There's one for each of you, put 2. Then you would have, if you have dependent children, put those there, and the exemption total will calculate there. Then you want to go down to the income section, fill out your wages, salaries, etc. information directly transferred from your federal tax return. It's basically line 1 transferred over. Taxable interest, ordinary dividends, business income, and make sure to attach any requested schedules if it applies to you. Schedule C for business income, Schedule E if you have rentals, etc. So you'll want to fill this out, and also if there's any exclusions for any reason. As a resident, there isn't a lot, but there are a few. And that information will be carried over and calculated in column C. So after you're done with line 10, you'll want to scroll down to page 2 and start with the schedules. So you would fill these out, the other income according to whatever applies to you. Now, there's a lot of people that this won't apply to. You'd just basically be doing the information on page 1. So you'd fill out if you have alimony, subchapter S corporation distributions, farming income, gambling income, other income. That'll calculate here. Any exclusions, calculate here. And this will calculate together in column C, and whatever the total is on line 6 will be carried over to line 11 on page 1, where it says additional income, page 2, schedule A. So that'll be carried over there. And you'll want to continue down to the wage schedule. Select the down arrow according to whoever the W-2 is for. The T would be the taxpayer or the primary. S would be secondary or spouse. Fill out your social security number, employer ID number, excluded wages, which, like I said, for residents, there won't be much, if any. Basically, only military income. And box 19 of a W-2 would be the Grand Rapids tax withheld. And here you would put the locality name as it's written on the W-2. Obviously, if this W-2, if the locality name is different than what's at the top of the form, Grand Rapids in this case, like if this is Walker, you'll want to be filling out the Walker tax return. We don't really care what the Walker income taxes withheld are. So if you, then you continue down to the deduction schedule if applicable. There's a lot of people that this won't apply to. IRA deduction is the most common. Self-employed, SEP, business expenses, moving expenses. If you're moving into the city, alimony paid, Renaissance zone deduction, and you'll want to make sure that information is correct. There isn't a lot of Renaissance zones currently left, so make sure you do your research on that. And the deductions here will total up and be carried over to line 14 on page 1. But let's continue down to the address schedule. This is what you would fill out if you, during 2024, lived at a different address than what is listed on the top of the page 1. So you'd enter that address here, the time, the months and the days that you lived there. There's also a drop-down button here, so if it's just the primary or the secondary or both, put that information in there in case we wonder. We, as in the income tax department, if we wonder why it's different. So fill that information out and then go up. Then we'll go back to page 1. And most of this information will be complete now. So your exemptions will carry down here and multiply that by the 600, and that will be carried over here. Different cities have different exemption amounts, so keep that in mind. And you'll want to check this box here, and that will make it so that the appropriate tax rate is applied based on what you checked above. And that will calculate the tax due based on the total income that's calculated here after the deductions and the other income is added. So it automatically calculate that for you. This would be the tax due. However, that might not be the tax due because you do have payments and credits that you could apply. So here is where you would carry over from the withholding schedule or just transfer from your W-2s into your W-2 tax withheld. And I didn't mention it before, but make sure you're rounding to the nearest dollar. We don't care about cents. So round to the nearest dollar. And then you'd also want to include your other tax payments. If you made any estimates, have a credit forward from the last year or partnership credits, etc. Put that in there. Credit for a tax paid to another city. So if you're a resident of Grand Rapids and you work in Walker, you would be able to deduct the amount of taxes that you paid Walker. So you would enter the amount from the Walker tax return, line 17 from the Walker tax return, that goes here. It's a little different the other way around, so make sure you're doing that correctly. And it'll show the all of your tax payments and credits here. It will automatically deduct that from your amount of tax due to calculate your refund or payment. So if you had more due than you had payments, you obviously would owe in that situation, so you'd fill that information there, or that would automatically calculate there. Or if you overpaid, that will calculate here. And you can enter if you would like to donate some or all to the donation funds. And some or all you can credit to the 2025 tax year. And that would be, and after calculating that out, it will give you the total refund amount. So if you have a tax due amount and you want it to be paid with direct withdrawal, you would select the tax due and enter your routing number. Or if there's a refund, you select that and fill all that out. If it's not filled out, then we would send it as a check. So you would have refund will be sent to you as a check, or if you don't have this filled out for direct withdrawal for payment, hopefully you would attach a check, otherwise it would be billed when we process the return. So after that, you'd want to scroll down to the bottom of page 2 to do all the addresses. Third-party designee is if you want to allow another person to discuss this return with the income tax office. So that could be if you're a minor, you can put your parent there, or if you have a relative that filled out the tax return for you, they can put that there, or also down here as the preparer. So just fill out this information accordingly, names, signatures, etc. And that's basically it. So if you have any questions about anything that we went over, if you would like further information about something, leave a comment below. I'll be working on more videos, probably be doing the non-resident form and part year form, but if there's anything else specific, if there's a lot of people asking about certain things, I can do another video on that. If you are a preparer especially, please like and subscribe so that you can keep informed on all of the information that I post here. So, thanks for watching.